no, don't eat that! Oh. No. Oh. Hey, what's up and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today I'm going to be talking about Amazon Prime's latest blockbuster set to hit the streaming platform tomorrow, July 2nd. It's The Tomorrow War. After soldiers from the future show up in our world and tell everybody that an alien invasion is about to occur and that the world was about to end, the first ever worldwide draft is created to send people back to the future to fight in the biggest war we have ever known, in an all-out effort to discover a way to stop these seemingly invulnerable creatures before they show up. And our hero of the story is a high school biology teacher played by none other than Chris Pratt. First of all, a big shout out to Amazon Studios for sending me a screener to check out this film a little bit early. This was one of Prime's few original films that really garnered my interest recently for, a variety of reasons. I like Chris Pratt, I like aliens, and I like time travel if it's done right. So, right from the get-go, The Tomorrow War had the recipe for success. Once again, if they handled it right, and in my opinion, they certainly did. Once the audience is taken along for the ride into the future, it's a non-stop thrill ride, especially because they didn't want to show the audience the aliens right away. It takes a minute for that to happen, and it allows the tension to build. So a lot of what these creatures are doing, at least in the beginning, you can't quite make out for a little bit. But once they rear their ugly heads around, and they certainly will, it is once again non-stop action until the end. What's so great about that is, even though it is action-heavy, it also has a lot of heart, as the core of the film is definitely centered around family and what family means to this man. So I appreciated that. The look of these creatures, by the way, it's great. I won't spoil too much of that because I think the trailers are also trying to kind of hide that a little bit through quick edits. But personally, I found the design to be effectively terrifying. The visuals, when it came down to time travel itself, was, I think mostly kind of by the books, but it was still done pretty well and looked pretty cool. The cinematography and how it was shot was also pretty good. By all accounts, it's a fairly decent blockbuster that I think Chris Pratt did a pretty great job portraying his role as essentially a military leader of sorts. If you're a fan of time travel films, I think it did a fairly decent job switching things up just enough to stand out as different than the others, at least in practice. What about negatives? Well, I'm not sure. I think, for the most part, it's possibly a little bit too long at 2 hours and 18 minutes. I feel like not everything in the film was 100% necessary. It kind of plays out like a video game, though I guess that's pretty much the military for you. I mean, here's your mission. Okay, great. Here's your next mission, so on and so forth. I think what would have helped with the pacing was not keep a secret for as long as they did, meaning they tell Chris Pratt's character that they brought him there for a specific reason, that he has a specific function. But they're like, we're not going to tell you what it is yet. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, man. Had they told us what it was earlier on in the film, the pacing probably would have been a lot better, at least in my opinion. But you do you, boo. Everything else, though, I think was business as usual, maybe, but it was fine. For instance, I'm not entirely sold on the idea that only Chris Pratt could have played in this role. I think it was a fairly by-the-books role, and he was chosen because, he's a famous guy. It's Chris Pratt. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy and Jurassic World. Not because he's the only person that could pull this role off. With respect, I think a good number of other actors could have probably played off the role just as well. Even J.K. Simmons, who I love, and he looks fantastic in this film, all jacked up and everything. But again, I didn't buy the idea that he's the only guy that could play in this role. He's just a name that people recognize. So when it came down to character development and casting, I didn't think that it was as strong as it could have been, since they seem to be going much more for concept and even more of the story than characters themselves. Let's go ahead and break down my final score from a technical perspective. Like I said, I think that they did a great job in the visuals department. The cinematography, the editing, I think the creature design of the aliens was phenomenal, and the use of time travel was unique enough to make the film stand out. I think Amazon Prime has a great film on their hands in terms of production quality. The only issue that I had here was mostly in the crafting of the characters to make them unique enough to, fit the casting. This score is 80%, and my bias score isn't that far off because, I had a pretty great time with the film overall. I think maybe it was a little bit too long, which affected the length or pacing, but it's not the end of the world, and at the end of the day, it's still enjoyable. This score is 82%, and when we average out the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 81%. 81 out of 100 possible stars, or a B+ letter grade. Guys, have you seen The Tomorrow War? Are you looking forward to it? I want to hear in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with the next review. And until then, peace out.
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert.